So first, I have to talk to Guy, and I have to ask, with this story, after words were put to paper, what was the first visual that came up in your mind on how you wanted to kind of proceed?
That's a super interesting question. Thank you. First visual. I think that the idea of the first scene that came to my mind was the office scene. Like I saw a person sitting in an office, like in a conference room table by himself with his goggles on. I think that was the first image that kind of gave birth to this entire movie.
And the idea of this, coming into the world where he, the sun is not our friend, night is our friend. Which, by the way, if I can ask the actors, did you do anything to kind of try to feel or make yourself feel like living a regular life in night was normal? Because that's something that I don't know if you, when you act at night, you feel like you have to feel like it's night, or do you have to feel like that's everyday common occurrence?
Oh, no, it just was night.
No, I mean like that, but that would be your day. I guess that night would be your day in this sense, because the sun is not our friend, of course. And so night is where people kind of live their lives, right?
I just made sure
that's where we made the movie. We made the movie almost exclusively at night. So we did become completely nocturnal for the duration of the film.
Then I have to ask James, for your character, as I kind of watched the film, it was kind of a duality of like control and yearning. I mean, how did you first see the character when you read it?
I mean, I think I identified quite a lot with the way that he felt slightly disconnected from this modern world, and that he was a little bit of a Luddite, but he was still trying to stay afloat. That definitely rang true for me. I do actually think that everything that's happened in 2020 has made me feel not quite so alone in that regard. I feel like a lot of people have been struggling to stay afloat, not just me. But we haven't been able to talk about it up until now. So maybe there's something that has come out of this that's been sort of valuable. But that was the main thing that I tapped into. I mean, there's a couple of other things about Adam, which is, I'm not really into taking mood altering drugs, and nor is he. So that was kind of an easy thing to tap into. But yeah, I guess just his sort of being slightly lost and feeling, when you are in a situation where you feel like everybody's crazy, it doesn't take very much before, if everyone is singing off the same hymn sheet and you think they're crazy, it doesn't take a very long time before you start thinking that it's you that is the crazy one, not them. And I identified very strongly with that in the story as well.
And you brought up a good point with, the way we are today. Of course, not only is the sun seeming hotter, the skies are red. We are using technology to connect with each other on a grand scale. I mean, Guy, when you were looking at this, somewhat real / dystopian kind of future, did you realize that you were becoming more of a prophet than delivering more of a prophecy than you would have thought?
I mean, like lately, yeah, it's been pretty scary. I mean, I think like it really hit me this week, to be honest, because, when the pandemic started, so then a lot of the, this isolated reality and all that stuff, that became pretty evident, was much, obviously faster than I've ever anticipated. But and then I think like the last weekend here was the hottest, one of the hottest weekends in recorded history in California. So that was just another thing that I thought to myself. I said, wow, like we're really getting there. But yesterday I found myself looking at the air index, whether or not we can go out here in Los Angeles, and I thought to myself, wow, this is topping my even my sense of humor. It's just like too much.
It very much is.
The air index on my phone.
Well, I gotta say, after I watch that film, I still there's many things that stay with me, but the creepiest thing that stays with me, and I'm not gonna go too much into it, but it's a future where people are kind of disconnected. So there is a sex doll, which is the creepiest, weirdest. I don't understand. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's affected everyone who's seen it. I mean, James, you had to interact with it. What was the thought on the set when you look at it? Because it feels like it looks into your soul, and my soul cries. So I don't know.
Listen, man, I thought, like I did with almost all of this movie, yeah, that'll never happen. That'll never catch on. And seeing as all the rest of the movie seems to have come true, for all I know, these sex dolls are going to be going like hotcakes out of the shops in time. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know who the production designer was on that one, but they definitely went with the style.
I tell you, the idea with this was that we've experimented a little bit, like looking on the internet to see what's available for real, and it's pretty scary. And the one thing in the real world, they're trying to make these things kind of look as human and kind of close to reality as possible. They even have these dolls that speak right now and stuff like that, not to scare the audience out there. But we wanted to go deliberately 180 degrees in the other direction, because the whole idea was that the real world ceases to matter in the universe of the film. So it's like, that there's such a gap between, what his fantasy looks like within the virtual world and in the real world. And that was kind of a deliberate joke. And oddly enough, I thought when people, we did some screenings to friends and family, I was even surprised that it didn't garner an immediate laugh. Sometimes you see the audience kind of trying to realize, are they serious about it? Which of course it was a deliberate joke, but yeah.
Well, this film deals a lot with clones. So I have to ask the actors, Rena Bird. So Anna, what was it like to play, I guess, two separate characters for you? I mean, in a film, that's something that most people don't get a chance to do.
Well, I think James had the harder task on that front. Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a tiny bit. What's interesting is, I guess, to see from someone else's point of view what they would change on you. I guess that was weird for me, but no, James definitely had the harder job in that department.
And speaking to you, James, you did have to run around yourself, let's just say. So besides the text and all of your dialogue, there was also some physical aspects too, I'm guessing, where Guy had to kind of get you in the right places and the right times too. Is that something you've dealt with before? I know you've probably been on green screen before, so.
Do you know what? I actually haven't done that much green screen up until now, and we didn't do a lot of green screen on this, did we? I don't even remember. I mean, it was all some clever stuff that Guy did subsequently. I mean, I did act with quite a few tennis balls, which was a first for me, and I also discovered that if you're playing both halves of a scene, it's really easy to upstage yourself, which is very annoying, because normally you can at least be annoyed with the other actor for doing something brilliant last minute, but then when it's actually you that screwed yourself up by doing something cool, that's just annoying. But no, I had a really good time playing those two parts, with the exception of the fact that I missed other actors, and it was great when Anna would come back to work and you'd actually have someone you could talk to, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, well, there was that isolation too. So, Guy, did you do anything to help? I guess kind of help them realize the world they were in and isolate, Adam Bird. I mean, was there anything in that, or is it just?
I think the lighting scheme that we've kind of worked really hard on. I think it was probably subconsciously helpful. I mean, this idea came to us from. Me and the cinematographer Thomas, we talked about what would interiors look like in a world like this, and we had this idea that people would at least try and replace at nighttime the color temperature of day and I know most people that are listening to this probably, if they're not filmmakers, they don't know, but the color temperature of day is not necessarily in kind of real light presented in kind of orange and yellow. It's more like on the ultraviolet spectrum. So we went with that idea of the terrariums of things that are supposed to kind of atmospherically, on the one hand, recreate the feeling of daylight, but obviously have a completely different effect. And I think living in that space of fluorescent light, it just really makes you, it echoes a lot of isolated spaces that you might have seen in the real world, from being inside a fridge or what have you. I don't know, but you should ask them. I mean, if it worked.
No, I definitely feel like it worked. James, if I can ask, you had some great scenes with Delroy, and whenever he gets into a scene and he tries to sell you, I feel like someone's going to be sold. Like, did you kind of, can you tell us a little bit about working with him and working those scenes together where you're trying to throw technology, but human, I guess, yearning with it too?
I mean, it is hard not to swim in the lake of Delroy's voice. So yeah, I think in real life, when Delroy wants to sell you something, I'm buying. He has the most incredible voice I've ever heard on a human being. And look, he was fantastic. He's an extraordinary actor, and it didn't come as a massive surprise that his starting place is honesty. So every scene we dissected till we found the honest truth of that scene, and then we put it back together, and from that point onwards it all made really great sense. There's some complex ideas being played with and all of that, so some of it took some unpicking, and then we would shoot and suddenly this voice would happen and you'd be like, oh my god, wow. It's too good. Honestly, he could sell me the phone book, I would buy.
Yeah. The literal the paper phone book that everyone throws away now. I see that. That's the best analogy I could see right now. Before there was a visual, before there was a trailer and everything. James, if I could ask, how did you explain this story to friends when they first asked you? Because LX2048 doesn't exactly lend to what's happening or what's going to come until until you see a visual.
I'll tell you the truth. I didn't try to explain it to anybody. I'm doing a movie, and it's pretty screwed up, but it's really interesting. It's got a lot of good ideas, and I play my own clone halfway through the film, and that's as far as I got, because to try and get into this is too difficult. It's just too difficult. To sum it up in a short conversation, no.
I do have to ask, though, because of the idea of clones and moving forward, P3, the opportunity to, I guess, adjust somebody as they move forward in life or things are definitely something that you guys kind of brought up. But did that make you kind of question what you would change if you made a clone of yourself? Like of your own personal self, your own thing? Did any of you question, well, maybe I would do this or maybe I would change this? I mean, is there any questions between the actors or even the director?
I mean, 100%. You couldn't help but shoot those scenes and think, wow, if someone was redesigning me, what would they? I'd go with a page one rewrite. But maybe some bits could stay, but not much.
How about you, Anna? Is there anything you were like, you know what? I think this time around I'm gonna be 6 foot this time. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go full Amazon and come back and.
I mean, for sure, it's natural, isn't it, to think like that? But no, I mean, in an ideal world, would I? Wouldn't I? I don't know. I mean, I'm quite happy with my lot at the moment, so all good.
And I have to say that this scene was Very cool and very, very surreal. Also, the gentleman who was selling you, I guess, the package was fantastic. Who was that gentleman's name?
Yeah, that's Jay Hayden. He was his.
Oh
he
my!
was amazing. Yeah.
He felt.
We had a big problem shooting that scene because I really got the giggles.
He's like,
Actually,
he just nailed it from the first take, and it was just tough to stay serious.
Well, he's got that smile, which felt like a small world after all. Like he was just looking at you, and I just
you know something. I'll tell you how funny it is working with actors. Sometimes the only thing I did, we were talking about this character, and I found a photograph of a wedding planner that had this kind of ridiculous bow tie and stuff, and had that same look on his face. And I showed him the photograph, and that was it. I said to him, like, I don't know, I was thinking about, this is the guy I was thinking about, you know? And he just looked at the photo and he got it. You know what I mean? It's pretty amazing.
Very much so. Well, this movie, is nothing what I would expect. There's so many different things that were happening. At first, I thought it was going to be about this, then it wasn't. Then it was going to be about this, and it wasn't. And then we go into an inner turmoil. I mean, there's so many different levels to it. So I want to thank you all. I hope you all had as much fun making it as it was to watch. And we look forward to anything else you have to put out as well. We hope you have a fantastic day, and stay safe and be healthy. Congratulations to Guy for having a movie out during this time, as well as James, movie out during this time as well. So both of you directing into a weird void of entertainment, which is fun because people get to enjoy it the way they want to, I guess. So that's fantastic. So I want to thank you both so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you, man. It was fantastic interview. Thank you for all the kind words.
Thank you both, Derek's. You were both terrific.
My pleasure. Yes. Well, he's a little bit stronger than I am, but I'm smarter, I think. So.